Mate, you've been fishing for a long time. We're going to have a run through your boat setup and what you take on a few trips and stuff like that. But I've got a couple of questions for you first. How did you get into fishing?
Oh, mate, really young age. Obviously, my father was into offshore fishing. That's what he pretty much did. So a really young age, mate. Obviously going out the boats. Didn't do a lot in Moreton Bay. We were from Brisbane, but we travelled usually up to Double Island Point, Fraser, Evans Head in the northern New South Wales. Just obviously followed his footsteps and progressed from there, mate. With electronics, etc. In the late teens, I then took over the skipper duties, mate, because I took such interest in electronics. So it's something he didn't want to have a big interest in. So I took over the skipper duty and obviously controlling electronics and playing around with sounds, etc. And then from there, progressed out to going for different species and heading out further, and that's where the red emperor addiction came from.
So did the fishing take a sharp rise once you got into the electronics more?
Yeah, definitely did. Like back in the days, they used to obviously use landmarks, etc. There wasn't even GPS, and once electronics came about, I was controlling it all the time, and then obviously there was a bit of an interest with heading out further. We only fished the closing grounds generally, and then the red emperor is obviously something I looked into a lot of, and the habitat, etc. So I thought, well, I need to go a lot further, and we started heading further afield and targeting those species and others, and obviously I sort of learnt a lot really quickly, as a teenager, late teens, and that carried on from there.
Yeah, so you've got kids yourself, and you're passing that on to them?
Absolutely,
Is there anyone of the kids that is more into it than the others, or are they all
they all enjoy it, and my daughter, she really likes it, but my young fellow also has a big interest in obviously what I like to do, which is sounding and what to look for. And he's starting to ask questions and etc. what to look for. And you try to give them a little bit back as well, let them take control of trying to drive the boat and just teach him certain things, the basics, electronics, and all baby steps. So, it's been good.
I've got a daughter, and she's not that much into fishing, but I'll make sure she has a great time on the boat.
Right.
And that's letting her drive the boat and telling her about things along the way is a good step. So.
That's right, and you've got to... So, one kid might be into it more than another, and you got to take that into consideration. As long as they're having fun and enjoying it, not putting too much back on them. I don't expect them to be as obsessed with what I was at that age, because I was, at a young age, and even primary school, I was just obsessed. I read every fishing book, magazine, whatever it was fishing related. I read it. Grant's Guide to Fishers, I read front to back constantly, and you learn a lot from that. And I don't see my kids as being obsessed, but they certainly enjoy it.
So, let's get down to your boat, mate. What's a typical trip for you? Is a couple of nights? Or?
Yeah, usually 1 to 2 nights if we can. By then we've probably used all our fuel supply, our bait, and we've got enough fish that we're happy with it. So it all depends on the region we go. So generally we'll take close to 480 litres of fuel. Bait wise, we take boxes of pilchards, squid, maybe 5 to 10 kilos of mullet fillet. And then we use the husk and other baits that we catch out there, whether that be live bait or dead baits. We generally take 3 to 4 guys in total. My dad generally comes on every single trip as well. He loves it. He lives for it. So that's what we do, mate. We keep sleep 3 up in the cab. I'll usually, or 2, and I'll sleep out on the deck. And that's just to keep watch of everything. Get up, look for container ships, anchor alarms, whatever it might be, just to look after the crew. And obviously a bit of a dodgy back as well. I prefer to sprawl out a bit, so I'll sleep on the deck and keep an eye on that.
Bit of air out on the back.
That's it.
And all the sounds and stuff like that. Have you had a hair-raising moment where you thought, what the hell?
Yeah, you get a few of them. It's usually container ship related. So we've had a few close calls. Obviously at night you might be out in the continental shelf. You're pretty lonely out there sometimes, and ships do come through. And one night I heard a rumble and thought it was from this side of the boat, looked over, and actually it was on the opposite side. It was just the sound travelling over the side, and looked up at this massive ship sliding down the side of it. And the hair stand up in the back of your neck, and that's not a nice feeling. But electronics have progressed since then as well, so we can run radar, we can run alarms off that, so we can set a zone that anything comes within that, you can let know that there's obviously danger around, so that does make you feel a little bit better.
Weather-wise, obviously you feel quite comfortable with your boat and it handle quite some harsh conditions.
That's right. We try to go out in good weather. We don't go out in the crap. You don't enjoy it. It's not that enjoyable going out in the rough stuff. So you generally pick your weekends or weekdays that have got the better conditions. And that comes a lot around to, you know, really trying to interpret weather and narrowing it down to the area that you might want to fish, because there could only be 200 k's south or north and completely different weather. So it's better weather somewhere else. That's where we go to go fishing. So you can
do quite a bit of research in the
absolutely
in the lead up to your trips and make sure you got your weather right.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's still not 100%.
It's not, and you deal with it.
Pull the pin early, or
that's right, or you just stay out there and fishing it. So as long as it's not dangerous, you know, you obviously you got to make that call when it does get dangerous, whether it's bar crossings or you're out there. We're going in. You don't want to become a danger.
Yeah, definitely. And you're responsible for your crew, so
that's exactly right. Yeah.
You make the call.
Yep.
All right. So, mate, what obviously more bait fishing than
we
lures or plastic.
That's right. So depending on the species you target. So red emperor, generally a bottom feeder. We target them with large slab baits. You know, there might be squid as well, whatever it might be. So bait fishing is a huge part of what we do because we target red emperor so often. So yeah, that does, you know, come into the fact. I don't mind mixing it up and using, you know, whether it's micro jigs, larger jigs, plastics, whatever it might be to target different species. Or if we're happy and we've caught a few fish, or the boys have caught a few fish, I don't mind trying, you know, artificials to catch it. It's something different. So yeah, I do mix it up quite a lot. I enjoy my trolling as well, whether it's for, you know, your wahoo, mackerel, small black marlin, whatever it might be. So I like to mix everything up.
Is that something you do when you're trolling, when you're searching for new ground as well, or?
You know, depending on what you're doing and what, you know, what sort of areas you might go to. We might troll while we're searching. I tend to probably search a lot faster. I've got the capability to sound at 15 to 20, 25 knots. I can cover a lot more ground faster. So a lot of times, if that's what I'm going to do, I'll solely do that.
Rods and reels. I mean, I see you've got everything from big kick-ass electrics and
big mire epochs. So that's you know, might be for deep water fishing. You know, anything from, you know, 150 to 500 meters deep. So we'll use the big electrics. You know, my father's 73 years old, so if we're fishing 100 meters, you know, I'll say use the electric. Save yourself, you know. But generally it's for the deep water species, which you would not do conventionally. You know, you spend a lot of time trying to find those fish in the deep water. You know, some people say it's not fishing if you're using electrics, but it's a whole new dimension of fishing. You know, it's electronics, it's trying to find those fish in the deep water, and, you know, they're good eating fish, so why not target them? And try and do it manually. You might only do 1 or 2 drops and you're buggered, so that's where the electric comes into it. And I also use it for the underwater camera as well. I drop quite a big stand down, and we can use the electrics to pull up and drop it back down. Usually rod-wise, it's all Venoms. I've been using Venoms quite some time.
Good rod.
Great rod, really good selection. So anything from your creek estuary fishing, you know, bays, to, you know, your light spin, overhead, popping, so they cover the full range.
And they're made right here in Brisbane.
They're made here in Brisbane. You know, they're a really quality rod, and I've got a really good selection that I can target. You know, from big fish jigging rods through to, you know, 15 to 50 pound spin rods that I can run plastics through to light, you know, drifting baits down to, you know, everything. So they do cover a huge array of fishing. So, you know, and reel wise, we use everything. You know, we're not biased in that sense. You know, generally try to keep the ratios down for our bottom fishing. So, you know, 4 to 5 to 1 ratios, just to get the fish moving a lot faster. If you use a lot of the high ratios, you might struggle to get those fish moving. You don't have that cranking power. You know, spin reels, again, once, you know, floating baits, plastics, whatever it might be. So yeah, we do use a huge range of rods and reels to cover all bases of fishing.
Have you got any tips, like, to help the guy that's, you know, just looking at your videos and stuff like that, and wants to go out and do what you're doing, and has no idea, or has seen a few things? I mean, how do you start into that sort of style of fishing?
Don't get caught up on a lot of the technical stuff. So I'll say the KISS principle: keep it simple, stupid. Keep your rig simple. You know, you don't want to be adding things you shouldn't to, you know, obviously that can set you up for failure. So keep your rig simple. Target your species accordingly. So it's really important for you to try and understand your habitat. So I'm huge on habitat. You know, understanding what goes on with a particular fish, learning the species, and then you can target it that way. And that's hugely important. And you'll see your results obviously grow by doing that. So that's probably the biggest thing, and obviously having the right electronics, being able to read at speed, you know, trying to learn those basic things, and from there you'll progress, and obviously, you know, hopefully you see the results follow.
So it's pretty much, as you said, keep an eye on your environment is a big key for any sort of fishing, isn't it?
Huge, you know, and it's not easy to get some of that information. You know, depending on the species, you know, obviously, you know, articles, etc., written on it, talks. You can learn a lot from that. Some new species, you may not have that option, so you've got to look a lot further afield from there, and you'll learn certain things. You know, it's even TV shows, whether it's a David Attenborough show that you're watching a documentary on. I've learnt things from those and carried them on. So, you know, particular species, the way bait works on reefs at night time to daytime, and so tusk fish and things like you do learn a lot from that. You take it in and you try to put that practice into play, and you get the results.
Have you ever learned anything from a rank novice who's
simple things? You know, you never know, and that's what you've got to always be mindful of, is you never know everything, and as long as you keep that open mind, you'll continually learn, and you become a better fisherman. The moment you think you know something, then you shouldn't be fishing, because you know it's not the mindset to have, and what you thought you knew 10 years ago will change. You know, you do learn and evolve with fishing, so I think you've got to be humble in that sense, is that you don't know everything, and you take all that bit of information in, and you can make up your own mind with those things, adapt techniques, and hopefully you get the results.
So with your setup here, obviously, there's quite a few dollars invested in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you, to go offshore stay out for a couple of nights? What would be the basic sort of setup, and maybe the cost involved? Yeah,
so generally, you know, a boat. This is a 7-metre boat. You know, we've got a 350 Suzuki on there. It's lean burn technology, so we're using a lot less fuel than we did with the older technology. So, you know, although there are 4 strokes, the newer technology with lean burn has allowed us to go a lot further with a lot less fuel. It's exceptionally good on fuel for such a big outboard, 4.4 litre, and we're still getting 1.2, 1.3 kilometres a litre, which, you know, if you start carrying 480 odd litres of fuel, that gives you quite a big range. That's enough to pretty much drive 2 days straight, 3 days straight. So, you know, a general trip, you got bait, ice, food, you know, fuel in the car, plus, you know, you might use 400 odd litres in the boat itself. You're going to be looking for big trips. You could travel up and down the coastline, you know, somewhere around $1,000 per trip. So it is quite expensive. But, you know, you're spending the money on equipment like this, so you just got to.
So obviously when you first start going out, you might come back with nothing or a couple of little things, but you build on that.
You do. And the most important part, a lot of people do that, and it's quite easy for us to go there and spend a day and not catch a target species of a red emperor. You know, and I've, during the night, think more, where I can go, right, how I can do things differently to change that. And, you know, it does get in your mind, and it does upset a lot of people. You know, they come back from a trip and they're all disheartened because they've spent so much time and money to get there, and they're disappointed with the results. But you've got to build on that and try, you know, change that. If you keep doing that same thing, you're going to get the same results. So think differently, and you know, start looking at different areas, etc. And hopefully come up with the results, and you build on that trip after trip after trip. So
and I guess that's something that, you know, you've got to train yourself not to get worried about not catching anything and give up. You just got to focus on, okay,
100%.
What can I do better next time?
What can I do better? You're on the water, try and enjoy it as much as you can, but, you know, don't get put off by the results if they're not there. It's up to you to change that. And as I said, if you keep doing the same things, though, you're going to get the same results. So think outside the square. You know, try listening to people, take that in, and just set yourself different goals or different ideas of what you should do, and hopefully that slowly progresses forward and you get the results.
Memorable moments, like with your, you know, not so much for you, but for other people that have been on the boat, something that's really made you chuffed and something like that.
I love taking people out that, you know, catching first. So whether it's, you know, my wife taking her out and she catches, you know, first time offshore, and she hooks a black marlin, you know, 15 minutes, and then wahoo, another marlin. It's, you know, things like that really make you happy. And I suppose I've been lucky over the years to catch and do what I've done. So I could probably get more of a kick out of watching someone else do it. You know, taking guys out for the first time that, or not first time offshore, but never caught red emperor or something like that. You know, them catching PBs. That's exciting for me. I really like that side of it. Putting a bit of a plan into place, and as long as everyone's having a good time, I'm having a good time. You know, like I do so much driving, especially if I'm backing up in strong currents. I don't fish a lot myself. To me, it's not an individual sport. It's a team. It's a team effort.
So personally, for you, what would make you go, wow, that's blowing my mind catching that? Or
PBs, you know, like for myself, if it's a you know, particular size species that it's a PB for you, or it's, you know, it's a cool fish, I'm happy. You know, that 20 kilo red emperor mark, that's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
We've not got there. We've come close, but mate, if I was to get a 20 kilo red, I'd quit. You know, I'd be stoked.
Yeah.
So no, it's one of those keeps you going back more and more, and I like to learn new species. So whether it's chasing tusk fish in the bay, or you know, snapper in the shallows in the bay, to offshore, whatever it might be, as long as I'm putting a plan into place and I'm executing that, that's what makes me happy. And finding new ground and finding wrecks, just all those little things, you know, make you happy. And you got to be humble and thankful for what you do, and help others. Like I've always been there to help others, and I reply to hundreds of messages and emails, you know, every year. You know, you're not getting anything from that, but I know that I'm helping people. It's helping them achieve things that they want to do. They're investing good money into what they do.
It's helping the sport grow as well.
It is absolutely. So, you know, and the younger generation as well, I've got a lot of time for that. You know, whether it's boat shows, whatever it might be that you're doing, different various things. You know, you got to spend time with the younger generation, help them out. You know, there's certain guys through social media that put up pictures of a kid. You know, give me your address. I'll send you DVDs and things like that. You want to help them. They're our next generation. It's important that we help them out. So,
speaking of like the next generation and stuff like that, do you think Australia's sort of heading in the right direction for helping kids out? Or is there anything else that we could maybe do?
I definitely think we're heading in the right direction. You know, like there's obviously a lot of catch and release these days, and mindful of all these little things for the environment, which is a good thing. You know, and I think if we can pass them on to the younger generation, they're going to carry that through. You know, learning more about the species, etc. You know, we seem to be doing a lot more of that. You know, electronics, etc. obviously coming a long way. So the fish are under pressure. There's no doubt about that. They're not what they were 20 years ago, 30, 50 years ago. So we need to be smart. As long as we can pass that on and we're looking after the fishery, that's a good thing. Sharks are becoming a huge problem, which is something that we're going to have to start dealing with. You know, like I can't see them government-wise doing anything different just to slow that population boom up and the issues that we're having. So there's a lot for everyone to learn. As long as we can move with the times, and we're making everything sustainable species-wise. You know, the government do a fairly good job of trying to learn about species, you know, through a lot of research and trying to make adjustments accordingly. So, you know, sometimes it's hard to handle and people won't agree with it. At the end of the day, you know, it's out of our hands. We can only try help by supplying information, frames, whatever it might be for research, and hopefully they make the right changes down the track.
Where do you think you'd be without fishing in your life?
Probably racing, mate. We sort of family growing up around drag racing, so I love high horsepower cars. So it's something that I kind of stepped back from to get into the fishing side more, because it's such an expensive sport. Both are. So
I used to have a bit of a dabble in the old days as well, but I'm glad I'm out of that. It's a lot of wasted money, I think. But,
it is. It's a great hobby, but you've got to have a lot of money to do it, and it's unaffordable. And you know, this is not cheap as it is. But good things have come from fishing for me, and you know, I'd love to carry that on, and I enjoy it. And it's not a single sort of person sport like the drag racing. You know, all your mates and family enjoy fishing as well. But no, I think that's. I don't think I would be anywhere really, to be honest, without it.
I have one more question for you. That was a lot of fishermen I know, especially the successful fishermen, always have another hobby or something that they're really good at. You've talked about drag racing, but is there anything else in your life that is, you know, just something away from fishing that's, you know, that you do?
I put so much concentration on fishing. You know, like I live and breathe it. It's just at night I think about it, and you know, and I think that helps. You know, me understand fish, its species, habitat, how to target them, and it makes you successful at what you do. But you know, like you still got to enjoy a lot of family time. My family means a lot to me. So you tend to probably throw a lot of, you know, bits and pieces at your family, whether it's going away or enjoying time with them. You know, also play indoor cricket, and you know, you at the gym, try to keep yourself fit. So yeah, it's just a lot of little things, mate. But fishing's the main thing. I'm obsessed with it. I live and breathe it. So everything goes into that.
Oh, mate, thanks very much for your time. It's been very good experience for me personally, and I hope everyone else gets something out of that as well. So.
Excellent. My pleasure.
Thanks very much for your time.
Cheers, mate.
See you.